Thank you. The horribly terrible, horrible boy. The horribly terrible, horrible cat was who sat across from where that bear was at. That sat in that window, we're pretty certain. We think it had a big blue curtain. Had not only curtains, it had a big sash, but because of that cat, it went in the trash. The sash was sliced and diced, so it was, and that is why, and that is because. That horribly terrible, horrible cat in that terrible house where that cat was at was a horribly terrible, horrible boy who happened to play with a horrible toy. That horrible toy had its very own case. 'Twas a green laser for the cat to chase. It was a terrible toy because of its strength, the power it posed, and because of its length. It burned a furrow right across the floor in that horrible house, and it burned the door. That horribly terrible, horrible boy with total destruction he did enjoy got the fire put out on that horrible door. When his dad got home, he was mighty sore. All right. More. The horribly terrible, horrible house. When his dad got home, there was no joy. He told his horribly terrible boy to take his horrible, terrible toy and throw it in with that horrible sash, the one that the horrible cat did slash, and take the case that it came in and throw it, all of it in the garbage bin. He took his horrible, terrible toy and that terrible case that it came in and threw it all in the garbage bin. When his mom got home, she did implore why everyone was so terribly sore. The horribly terrible, horrible cat came in from the window he was sitting at, and everyone saw right then and there, not that anyone did terribly care, a horribly terrible, horrible smell, and little pieces of berries as well, stuck in the fur of that horrible cat. What could it be, that horrible smell, and who was going to wash that cat as well? And everyone wondered where that cat had been at. There's not much more. There's quite a bit more, but there's not much more. The horribly terrible, horrible smell. You wanted to know about that, didn't you? And now we know this horrible tale. It was all true, but what of that smell? Well, the horribly terrible, horrible cat from that window he was sitting at smelled an odor that was quite profound. He wondered where it could be found. The window was open, the screen was out. He jumped out the window to see about. He followed the odor to where it began and found it inside a garbage can. That horribly terrible, horrible cat leapt straight up from where he was at, where he sat, landed right inside a cardboard box and got it all over his horrible socks. It was leftover fish from somebody's plate, something that someone hadn't yet ate, something a cat and a bear might enjoy. Now, what was the method he would employ? He had to think of where to begin to get that fish out of the garbage bin, and that horrible cat, that was just when he had a plan to do with fish skin. Fish skin? Do fish have skin? They do now. The horribly terrible, horrible fish. The horribly terrible, horrible cat in that garbage bin where he was sitting at with that horribly rotten fish he landed inside of that horribly terrible garbage bin. Now that horrible cat, he had a thought. He traded some fish for berries he got from that horribly terrible, horrible bear, the one that was sitting right over there. He got some yesterday during a truce. If only he could get that fish to come loose. That horribly terrible, horrible fish was stuck to the bottom of a horrible dish. He tried peeling it off with his terrible teeth, but he couldn't get his teeth underneath. The horrible dish was too heavy to haul. But what if he let that horrible dish fall? He could just let that horrible dish shatter. But what of the noise? Well, that didn't matter. That horrible fish would be in the dirt, but that horrible cat knew that wouldn't hurt. He could carry that horrible fish right there and trade it for berries from that horrible bear. Like deep, dark green, horrible spinach, this horribly terrible, horrible story is finished. Thank you.